This interview with Russell Shaw was recorded in December 2024 for my recent documentary The Making of Syndicate. Russell worked on several games at Bullfrog, including of course Syndicate, for which he composed the music and sound effects. The full documentary is linked below if you haven't seen it. I've removed some pleasantries at the start, so we'll dive right into the interview. Enjoy! But yeah, I mean, I suppose first of all, what I normally ask people is just what got you. I suppose what got you into making music. Like, what were you doing prior to Bullfrog in terms of a job, and was that related to music as well?
It was. I always wanted to be a record producer. That was my dream, sort of in my when I was at university. I did economics at university, which was just a complete waste of time, really, as it turned out. Sort of forced into a career path following on from A levels, really. And then coming out of university, I needed to take some time out and just went traveling. And then when I got back, I saw there used to be a newspaper called NME. Do you know NME?
Yeah.
And in that was an advertisement to become a record producer, basically do a course to become a record producer at the London School of Audio Engineering. And so I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go for it. And I did a year and a half there, did my certificate, and then got my diploma. And when I came out from having passed, I sent off loads of letters to lots of recording studios, and the one person who got back to me was a guy called Jerry Anderson, who was the Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet and Terrorhawks, asking me to come and run his studio for him, which was it's just like a miracle, really. It's a bit like a dream. No one else on my course had anything like that sort of opportunity, but it just came my way, so I took it. And although it wasn't working in music or record production, that the studio that I was running was also being used by bands to record album demos and actual albums there. Actually, Chris Rea had done his there, Marillion, Bill Wyman had worked there, Elton John had been there, and I sort of found my way into music in sort of indirectly by working for Jerry on sort of TV production, but in the sort of down periods we were recording bands as well. I was working with a record producer at that time called Stuart Epps. He was quite well known, and I learned everything from him basically on music production, on just how to make a record. While I was at college, the audio engineering college, I also did an orchestration course, so learning how to do strings and orchestral instruments as backgrounds to pop records, basically.
Right.
So I had that training in that. So for the next 4 or 5 years, it was just working at that studio. I just started to become disillusioned with it. I got ripped off quite a lot with quite a lot of money being owed to me by somebody, and I just thought I would really like to have a change in direction. And so I saw I was keen, very mad gamer at that time. And I remember games at this time were sort of 8-bit Atari ST, just driving games and text-based adventures, that sort of thing. But still, it really grabbed me, and I absolutely loved it. And I thought, you know, I'd really like to get into gaming. And I really wanted to buy a PC, although at that time, it was like I think the 386 had just come out, and they were sort of outside my reach in terms of the amount of money they cost. But still, I was buying a magazine called PC Format because I just loved reading about computer games. Ultima Underworlds had just come out, and it was looking like it was forging a path to better and better things from text-based games into actual visual game realms that you could sort of immerse yourself in. And one one of the PC formats that I got had a interview with Peter Molyneux, and he was saying how much he felt like audio was going to be a big thing in computer gaming in the coming years, and he was on the lookout for somebody to take over at Bullfrog as their sort of head of audio, if you like. So I rang him up, or I rang up Bullfrog offices, and he picked up the phone, which in those days was he did, but of course, he never does that now. It's just one of those things. In those days, they didn't really have anyone manning the phone sort of full time, and he just picked up the phone, and I said, introduced myself, and I said I'd like to sort of tentatively investigate coming to work for him as head of audio, and he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but we've just given the role to somebody." So I said, "Oh, okay, not to worry." He said, "But anyway, what have you done in the past?" And I said, "Well, basically I used to work for Jerry Anderson," and he all went silent on the phone, and and I heard him muffled, to put his hand over the phone. He came back to me and said, "When can you come in?" He was a massive Jerry Anderson fan,
Yeah.
essentially. And so I went in totally green with regards to what computer games were about, in development terms, what was the process in getting audio into games, even about how games were made. I had no idea, and he took me on, and I basically was straight in on Syndicate,
Mm.
and yeah, still working for Peter now. So I'm
Mm.
sort of full circle, really.
Yeah.
That was 33 years ago almost that I was well
Was that
30
was that
30
92 you started there, was it?
92, November 92. So 32 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Scary.
Yes. Very scary.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, when I was researching, for this, and I saw Terrorhawks pop up, and I'm like, wow, because I grew up in the '80s, but obviously the Thunderbirds and all the old stuff was still huge,
Yeah.
Captain Scarlet and all. But I loved Terrorhawks so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. It was a
Yeah.
great program. When I joined Jerry, I was mixing um episodes for release onto different formats because I think it had already been aired, but they wanted to put it on different formats. So I had to, first of all, transfer it to what was called a U-matic, which was like the video industry, broadcast industry video standard at that time. Put it onto U-matic, ready to be able to transfer to different formats. And that was the first thing I did when I went there. Then I was put onto a program called Space Police, which later became Space Precinct,
Oh yeah.
and then he put me in charge of a program called Dick Spanner, which was like a 5 minute sort of comedy animation that was broadcast on Network 7 on Channel 4 at that time. So yeah, I had a sort of a baptism of fire, really,
Mm.
and it was a real steep learning curve.
Yeah, I mean, right place at right time, though, it sounds
Very
like.
much so.
Mm.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
much so.
yeah. Excuse me if I'm nursing a lemsip during this, but I'm feeling a bit
No
rough
worries.
today. Thank
Are
you.
you? Oh, no worries at all. Yeah.
Um, so okay, so you come to Bullfrog, and you're very green in terms of how video games are made and what have you. Um, so what's the starting process then, with you know when syndicates discussed? Do they first kind of give you the lowdown on what they're looking for, or is it like a brainstorm, or?
Well, we used to have sort of team meetings around a table at the back. At that time, there were only about, I don't know, 10 of us, 12 of us in the whole company. So we would have myself and Sean, Peter, Alex, and a couple of artists. Um, Gary Carr was there at the time. Gary now runs a company called Two Point. They did 2 Point Hospital. Mark Webley was there as well. He runs that with Gary. So we used to have these meetings around a table, and they would talk about the game. And at that time, I was sort of feeling a bit like a child who'd been allowed to stay up late, listening to these guys talking computer computer games and how what they were going to be doing. And then it was sort of left to me to work out for myself how I would put audio into the game. And we came across a company called Miles Sound System. John Miles was a guy from the States who'd written this sound system that you plug into DOS, and it runs with a DOS extender. I don't remember DOS. It's just basically Microsoft's platform.
Oh, yeah, I still use DOS.
Do you? Brilliant. This is pre-Windows, obviously, so all our games ran on DOS at that time. And the Miles sound system allowed you to play sounds in the game, but you could only play one sound at a time. There was no mixing of sounds, so you had to really carefully think about what sounds were most important as you were playing, what sounds cut off other things, what how much sound you could fit into memory, because I think I had something like between 100 and 200k kilobytes of memory for the whole of the audio for Syndicate. Yeah, so everything had to be 8-bit, 11 kilohertz samples, mono. So designing those sounds was quite tricky in terms of. But I came from obviously working in the film industry and TV industry. I came at it from that direction. So I was looking at making real sounds from sample libraries and making my own. Like for instance, like the minigun, I think was a dentist drill with with a actual machine gun, and played together. They formed like the whirring noise of the machine gun of the minigun.
So when you say it's like a DOS extender,
Yeah.
is it literally hardware that you're then plugging into your DOS PC, or
No,
it's software?
It's a piece of software. It's
Yeah,
like
okay.
it's like what you'd call an app now, I
Yeah,
guess.
sure.
Yeah. So what in it allowed you to address more memory than DOS generally would allow.
Right.
Sean would be your guy to tell you exactly what that means, but it just allowed you to load a game into memory which wouldn't fit within normal DOS sizes. And then for music, obviously, it was pure FM. Just create your own synthesizer, which gets loaded into the game with your own sounds that you design with an FM design module, and then that then plays MIDI in the game, which triggers your own synth that you just made. It was a bit of a culture shock, because coming from the music industry to realizing, oh crikey, this is basically what I'm up against now. I'm going to be using this synth forever. And it was one of those things that I had to learn how to get the best out of what I'd been given. So it quickly became obvious to me that doing sort of twinkly twinkly sounds on synthesizers wasn't going to work for this game. It had to be quite dark, because of the nature of cyberpunk, really. So I decided to just go down that route of dark, moody style music, and seemed to work quite well.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's perfect for the game and the theme for
Mm.
sure. Because I mean, now when I play it, I play the DOS version, which is behind me there. But
Yep.
growing up, I played the Amiga version first,
Yep.
and the sound's quite different on the Amiga.
Yes.
So was that challenging or difficult to kind of work out what would sound good on the Amiga and what would sound good on DOS?
Yes. Well, On the Amiga, we had to use a mod. We had to use a mod player because that's basically the sound system on the Amiga just wasn't very good at all. So we had these things called mod players. Have you ever heard of a mod player?
Hmm.
Yeah, well, we had that. Again, I had to create all the instruments that were playing with an FM chip, on a PC, but create them and load them into the mod player so that when it played the music, it sort of sounded quite similar, although not exact. And the Amiga, yeah, it was very much a case of just do the best with what you've got here, because it wasn't as good as the PC, obviously.
Mm.
And but still, the Amiga at that time was huge. Just there
Oh
were
yeah.
just so many of them out there, and of course, Populous had come out on the Amiga, and Peter was keen to sort of Powermonger, I think, was on the Amiga.
Hmm.
So Peter was really keen to sort of make sure that that fan base was catered for.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I had to sort of just do my best to recreate what we were hearing on the PC on the Amiga.
I always kind of reference 1993 as like such a great year
Mm.
because it was like peak Amiga, but also then you had the PCs, stuff like Doom and Syndicate and all the good
Yeah,
PC. So there's this overlap of just both of them being really, really excellent that year.
yeah,
Um,
very
did it
much so. Yeah.
did it get a ST release, Syndicate? Because I know you were
Oh,
an ST guy, right?
I was, yeah, good question. I'm not sure if it came out on the ST. I at that time I had been using the ST as a in the music business as a
Yeah.
sequencer because a Cubase was still on there, was on there, note something called Notator, and I think an early version of Logic that came out that was then bought out by Apple and used on the Mac was
Right.
on the ST, and so consequently, myself and my friend used to play sort of Turbo Outrun and again, and as I say, all these sort of text-based games on
Mm.
the ST, and so I was well at home with that. But coming to Bullfrog, it was quite clear that no, no, that's not what we play games on. We play games on the Amiga and the
Mm.
PC. So yeah.
Well, speaking of playing games,
Hmm.
I know that a big sort of ethos, especially for Syndicate at Bullfrog, was playing the game
Yeah,
again and again and again. And were
yeah,
you the same? Did you play the game a lot
yeah,
during?
yeah. At that time, I used to stay very, very late in the office because that was just like the atmosphere, really. I used to stay behind with Sean most nights, and sit with him and we used to sort of trade ideas with regards to coding and how that can relate to sound. And then we both have a game, playing the game. And then I think I think we moved offices like about a year, maybe 6, 7 months later after the first place I was in, the first office we were in, and yeah, I used to sit very very late at night chugging away through Syndicate.
Mm,
Very enjoyable times.
mm. Yeah, I mean the guys I already spoke to just speak of it so fondly.
Yeah,
Um, and it's interesting, like Sean would say that have friends in and whoever to come and play, and they'd be playing the multiplayer,
yeah,
um, and they'd code in like a new weapon. Oh, that would be fun.
yeah.
So, so are they then going, oh, Russell, we need a sort of sound effect for that weapon, you, and then you kind of how do you approach that?
But I'd have to see it first.
Yeah,
So if it was something like the minigun, like I was saying, um, I'd see like first of all a piece of art that Chris had done or Paul, even Gary was doing stuff at that time as well to show me what it looks like in the real world, and then I'd want to see that in game and how it looked in game. So I think we had something called like a Gauss gun was another one, the huge, great rocket firing thing.
yeah,
So I did a sound for that. There was things like the Persuadertron, I think, was another one. There were different lasers, and that was handguns and stuff like that. So again, I had like sample libraries, sample CDs with all gun sounds on hundreds, thousands of gun sounds. I was one of the first people in the country actually to get the BBC library.
Wow.
And yeah, that was back in sort of, when would I have got that? Probably around 1988, 89, something like that, maybe 1990. And of course, when I left Jerry, he gave me those libraries, said I could keep them.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, it's like 30 or 40 CDs worth of sound effects. Because before that, you used to have to go and listen to sound effects in a listening room at Pinewood, and order your sound effects from the guy there. Uh, and then when these libraries came out on CD, that was the end of that. You could just take them straight from the CD and use them, straight away. So yeah, I was doing a lot of blending, so blending different sounds to make weapons and explosions and um, atmospheres and cars sort of wafting past and stuff like that. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
good fun, very good fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think that game's testament to just how important the sound effects are with weapons, that just you get that sort of more visceral feel to it when with the sound effects. And
Yeah, I mean the whole thing about my career is I've sort of followed the trail of progress in audio. So I started at the very beginning when audio was nothing but, like I say, 8-bit samples fitting into tiny bits of memory, and I've worked through that whole progress of game audio up to today, where we have Hollywood. We can compete with Hollywood in terms of sound,
Mm.
um, and the tools that we have are just ridiculous now for putting audio into games.
So those old CD libraries would have a catalog, and you could look through, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's
exactly.
kind of like a list of, yeah. I love the Persuadertron sound as well. It's like I can't even replicate it, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's that noise.
yeah.
I love it. I've been playing it a lot lately, obviously, just to get.
Well, I got the Persuadertron. It's a very, very good, very interesting story, that, because Sean said to me it wants to sound something like. Did you ever watch a program called The $6 Million Man?
Yeah, like
Yeah. Whenever he looked somewhere, he had like a bionic eye.
yeah.
Whenever he looked somewhere, you got this sound that used to go. And I thought, I'm going to try and create something like that, because I think it was either Sean or Glenn, one of those two, had mentioned that they felt like it should be that sort of sound. And so I tried to recreate. I can't remember how I did it, but yeah, I basically tried to recreate that sound, and that's basically what the Persuadertron became.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, you did pretty well. Did pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So it's a very basic soundtrack. So
Yeah.
you've got like 5 tracks. So there's two 9-second tracks, which
Yeah.
is like mission complete or mission failed.
Yeah.
You've got the intro, and then basically the game is just 2 tracks, right?
That's
One,
exactly right.
yeah. So there's one called Assassinate, which is the general you're walking around, and then the Danger, which is kind of like I always kind of equate it to Jaws. You know, it's like
Yes,
that impending doom,
exactly.
something's
Yeah.
happening.
Well,
Uh,
the intro was meant to. I wanted the intro track, which is also FM actually. I wanted that to sort of be a bit like Holst,
oh, yeah,
the Planet
the
Suite.
planets, yeah.
There's what the first track on well, the first part on that is Mars, the
Yeah,
bringer of
when it goes
war.
dun dun
Dun,
dun,
dun. Yeah,
yes,
exactly. Well,
that's
that
in the intro. Yeah,
yeah, I wanted to get a similar feel to that. It's very hard using FM because it's just so limiting in the sort of sound that you can do. Um, and yeah, and there were 2 tracks in the game, as you say. There's the sort of there's the ambient sort of stuff, and then the danger track. I think there might have been an outro track as well. Um, and I think, like you say, there's a couple of incidental pieces. But at that time, I was still learning the ropes. I was still trying to get to grips with the tech. And so looking back on it, I probably would have done much more if I'd have been more au fait with the whole process of it all. But we played with it a lot, and we said, you know what, it sounds pretty good actually. Let's not muck around with the soundtrack. Let's just go with what we've got now. There was another game at that time that came out called Alone in the Dark,
Mm.
and we realized that they too had only one or two tracks of music in there because the whole idea of making music with an FM chip is really time consuming. You have to sit down and make each instrument. It's not like you're given an array of instruments, you just play them. You actually make the instrument. And then you had to like convert the MIDI track into something that Miles sound system could use. And then there were different FM chips on different PCs depending on what card you had. So you had like your basic FM, you had something called an OPL3 chip. I think it was called an OPL3.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the Adlib chip, which was
yeah.
the basic one, OPL3. Then I think there was what was the name of that sound card? I can't remember now.
We had the Roland did one, didn't they?
Yes, there was one beginning with G called
G.
I can't remember. I can't remember. Anyway, they all had different FM chips.
Mm.
So basically, the music was sounding different from depending on what machine it was being played on.
Yeah.
And so that sort of consumed a lot of my time in terms of making sure that what was there was solid and not sort of writing hundreds of tracks and then having just completely losing control of the whole thing. And I was quite pleased with it actually. I mean, it's sort of gone down into sort of like cult status now, the music from Syndicate, and it means a lot to a lot of people. I still get emails from people who love it even today. So quite pleased really.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, when I think of, I don't really do favorites in life.
Yes,
But when people say what are your favorite games, Syndicate does come to mind very quickly, and also the music.
great.
And it's funny because it's like that should get repetitive having two
Yes,
tracks, but
yeah,
it never
I
does.
know. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and
I
I've been
think it's
playing it
because
for
they're so simple as well. It doesn't grate on you at all.
no,
I know that they did a Syndicate reboot.
yeah,
I think it was about probably
20,
about years ago now.
2012 it was.
2012 was it? Right, okay. And Skrillex did like a remix of my
Yeah,
one of my tracks, and sounded great. Even using, I think he
yeah.
sampled like the track from the PC and just used it, and it sounded really good. I thought,
Well,
oh,
there's at least four actually.
is there?
Yeah, Skrillex did one, I'm not big on dubstep, but I thought that was great. Really,
Yeah,
like a really good remix.
yeah,
I know there's three others. One of them is by this guy Nero,
right.
and that one's really good. It's kind
Excellent.
of more understated than the Skrillex. I'll send it to you anyway, but yeah,
Yeah, I'll have to look them up.
it's really good.
Fantastic.
They're on YouTube. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you what you kind of thought of those, but that must have been cool
yeah.
to hear that.
It was. I mean, it's quite flattering. I didn't
Yeah.
think much of the game, and I don't think
No.
it did very well. But it's just nice to know and he gave me a nod as well, which was quite nice in an interview that he did. So yeah, I was
Awesome.
quite pleased.
Yeah. I as well that the just that particular bit of the danger music. It's you could play it. It was almost Pavlovian. You could play it to me, and you kind of your pulse quickens because it
Yeah,
tells you there's danger around, or
I think
any
that's why people love it so much. It brings back a sort of a nostalgia feel to it of remembering what you were doing that at that time in your life. And like you say, it just gives you an instant feeling. It's like a trigger, as you say. Pavlovian's quite 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 apt, I think.
Mm. Um. So one question I had was, you've got you know, the assassinate music playing. And
Yeah,
then when presumably, you know, enemy agents come in with a certain radius, it triggers the danger music. But that always seemed very seamless.
yeah.
Was that deliberate on your part to?
Oh yeah. It always has been actually. I must admit that every game I've ever worked on, that's been one of the main things I've always wanted to do was to make the transition from one track to another in musical terms, A, seamless, and B, musically sort of apt, like it was meant to be. Do you know
Mm,
what I mean? Um, so yeah, and Syndicate was one of the first, because it was the first game I'd ever worked on. I really wanted to get that feeling of the music feels like it's just gone into a different branch rather than, oh, we're stopping that piece of music and we're going into this piece.
mm,
And even now, even the games I work on now, it's still one of my tenets, if you like, one of the leading things that I like to do is to make it feel smooth, like it's like you're watching a movie.
mm,
Um, that's always been very important to me.
mm. So I know the guys at Lucasfilm, for the adventure games, they had this iMuse system,
Yeah,
which was essentially ensuring that that happened. You know, when you
yeah,
walk through a door to another room, it's kind of seamless. And how would you how would you achieve it? Was it just making sure that the tracks were sort of thematically compatible, or
yeah. So same key,
yeah,
thematic, like you say, thematically they're the same sort of timbre, using the same sort of instruments. Um, I can't remember on Syndicate whether we did the beat matching. You can beat match as well, so you can make sure that it happens on a certain bar. I'm pretty sure that that was in there actually in Miles' system where you could beat match. I can't remember though, actually, Pete, to be honest with you.
no, yeah, it was a long
The
time ago.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays we've got interactive music systems in Wise that I can do all sorts of incredible things
Mm.
musically that would have been a dream back then. But yeah, no, it's good nowadays.
Um, you mentioned the intro. So was the intro given to you as a whole before you composed any music for it?
No, no, Chris was working on it as we were going, so I'd get it in sections. He'd give me like he'd give me like the first piece as a leading up to where I'm trying to remember the intro now, leading up to where the guy gets run over, and
Oh
then
yeah,
there's another part of the intro where you go indoors and you've got the guy on a sort of a round rack and he's
oh
being
yeah,
spun around and having legs put on and arms and whatever. And then there was another piece that goes outside where he's now fully augmented and he's back out on the street. I think there was a shot of like a blimp or something with like a
yeah.
projection on it of
Yeah.
some sort. So I was getting the intro in sections,
Mm,
thinking about what I would do for each of those. Um, yeah, I can remember thinking, my God, this is really trailblazing, this intro, because at the time there was nothing like it, Pete.
mm,
It was so different to everything I'd ever seen.
mm,
And yeah, it just felt like we were really doing something, something cool.
mm. Yeah, amazing intro, and it drops you into the world like
Yeah.
amazingly. Mm, mm. So was there any like piece that came first that was kind of your template for this is the vibe of the soundtrack, or
Not really. I mean, I think, like I say, I was very limited by the FM chip and knowing what I could do with the instruments on it. I wanted something that was dark and moody, and FM and dark and moody don't really go together. So I just wanted to get an idea of atmospheric music, not necessarily just plonking away a tune in the background, but something which is just playing, as a backdrop to what you're watching rather than a musical piece. And so consequently, the music just sort of wrote itself as as I was producing these instruments. I was just thinking, oh, this sustain. I've got a keyboard here, by the way, which is why it feels like I'm. It is basically, I hear the instrument that I just created or tweaked, and musical ideas would come from that. And yeah, some of the FM instruments that I created for that were quite novel at the time. I don't think many games had done that style of FM chip stuff. Again, Alone in the Dark came out and they'd used the FM chip, but it was very tuneful. It was actual sort of almost like jazz music, if you like. And I didn't want to go down that route at all. I just wanted it to be atmospheric and sustainy.
Sound effects we covered, how you created the sound effects, but the speech, because again, I mean, that was like iconic as well, the speech, and things like you got the police saying, "Police, put down your weapons," and when you select things, it says selected, which is so
now the selected thing, weapon selected and all that stuff. I had a piece of software that used to generate these words, and you basically typed in what you wanted it to say, and it was like it was literally text to speech. So you type in the words that you wanted to say. It couldn't do it very well, so I had to really pick my words really carefully. So selected worked really well. That sounded great on there. We had stuff like it would say minigun, and it would say I'd say it would give the names of the weapons anyway. And yeah, so that was like a novel thing. No one had ever used that before. It was a brand new piece of software that had just come out, and I cannot remember the name of it at all. But yeah, it came out really well. It's one thing that people always say to me. I remember the voices in the game.
Yeah, so good. I remember messing around with those text-to-speech things back in the day in the 90s. They were fun. But what about the police put down your weapons? Because that's like very clearly an English person.
That's Sean.
Is that Sean?
That's Sean Cooper. Yeah, yeah. couple of again, we had to really sample them down because anything that was too long was just massive in memory.
Yeah.
So I think we were helped by the fact that it had to sound like a radio or a tannoy or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sean did one. I know that Glenn did a couple, or was it Glenn? It might have been Chris actually.
So I don't think many made it into the game,
No,
maybe
they didn't.
No.
Again, we were really struggling with the memory capacity of it. 125K, I think it was, to fit all that into memory, and as I say, one sound at a time. So, if you were playing a really important gunshot sound, if someone fired a gun, you had to hear that. There was no two ways about it. And if explosion happened, that had precedence over every other sound in the game, because in real life it would blot everything out anyway. So we had to have like a hierarchy of sounds, what played where and when, and speech was very low in that hierarchy. So if a piece of speech started to say something and then it was blocked out by a gun, it would sound a bit shit. So we were very careful with what speech we used in the game. I wanted some in there because it really felt like it made the game sort of real in a way. It made it feel like it wasn't using some sort of generated sound system. Once you've got voices in there, you can tell, oh, this is the real thing. This really is happening. And yeah, I know that Sean did. Please put down your weapons. So yeah.
Yeah, I think all the, although there's only a couple of voice samples in there, that and all the sound effects, like we were saying, the soundtrack doesn't kind of feel like it outstays its welcome. And I think that's because as a whole, it's like all the sound effects and everything going on is kind of just this medley of noise that works together.
Yeah, it's strange because I listen back to it now and I just think, oh, you know, what I could do with that game now if I had the sound system I have now. But you know, given the sort of technical challenges that we had then, I think it came out all right actually. And well, it was a #1 game. It did really well for us, you know. So, and a lot of people look at it fondly. So
Mm.
it came out all right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing it for 31 years, and I still play it for fun. You know, it's
Wow, amazing.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
that good. It's that good. I just
And do you play Syndicate Wars as well?
no,
You don't play that?
no,
No.
I never kind of clicked with that, unfortunately. Um,
I did a game probably about 10 years ago now called Satellite Rain.
yeah,
And
that was Mike Diskett, wasn't it, who did that?
yes,
Yeah.
it was Disky wanted to bring back the feel of Syndicate.
Mm.
And so he asked me to do it, and the music and the sound effects are very Syndicate-like, you know, as
Yeah, I was
very.
listening to the soundtrack earlier actually of that. And yeah, it is very syndicate-y, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, people love it. They love that dark cyberpunk feel.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the theme is just as relevant today as it ever was. You
Oh
know, the
yeah,
corporations ruling the world and all this.
very much so. It's almost
Mm.
like art. It's like life imitating art now, isn't it?
It is.
It's come, you know, all these things that we laughed at years ago are sort of
Mm.
coming true.
Um, I had a few post syndicate questions, but I don't want to take up loads of your time, so I might jump to kind of leaving Bullfrog, and
Yeah,
because you followed Peter to Lionhead.
yeah.
So you weren't involved in Syndicate Wars, were you? The music.
Yes, I did Syndicate Wars.
Oh, you did.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
So
So basically, my time at Bullfrog was Syndicate, followed by Theme Park,
yeah.
followed by Theme Hospital, and then Magic Carpet. Magic Carpet might have come at the same time as Theme
Ah,
Hospital,
yeah, yeah,
actually. Then after Magic Carpet, we did Syndicate Wars and Magic Carpet 2,
yeah.
and a sort of a B movie type game called Gene Wars, which was
Oh, that was the cancelled one, was it?
yes, well, it
Yeah.
wasn't cancelled. It did come out, but it
Oh,
was by another team who were working out of our office, and and Alex worked on that as well, actually. I did the all the sound and music for that.
okay.
And then the very last thing I did at Bullfrog was Dungeon Keeper.
Mm, yeah.
Um, and then I left in 19. When did I leave? 1998. At the end of 98,
Right.
I left Bullfrog and went to join Peter at Lionhead.
Mm,
So I'd done all those games. I think Bullfrog at that time were working on Theme Park 2, Dungeon Keeper 2,
mm,
and Populous 3. So they were working on it was just Sequel City there, and I was sort of getting a bit fed up with it of just
mm,
hashing out old stuff. And Peter just said, "Look, we're going to be doing a brand new IP here. It's really exciting. Do you want to come and have a look at it?" And I did. And he said, why don't you come and join us?" So
mm,
I joined Lionhead, yeah, in I think it might have been beginning of 98 actually, January 98.
mm,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, January 98. And straight in on black and white. So, and great concept, turned out to be a beautiful game. And again, people loved it. And yeah, and I was at Lionhead for 15 years then.
mm. So was that exciting to be kind of going for more ambitious, sort of grander soundtracks than what I suppose a lot of the Bullfrog stuff has been kind of backgroundy stuff, like, you know, deliberately sort of
Well,
understated.
all the Bullfrog stuff, really, towards the end, we were just taking the music straight off CD.
Mm,
So we had what was called Red Book Audio on a CD, and you could actually play the music tracks from the CD while the game was playing. So we had a system for doing that, for reading music from the CD. So I was sort of creating almost not Hollywood style music, but full blown, you know, studio recordings of music in the game. Although there wasn't much interactivity in that at all. You couldn't sort of segue between tracks very well. You could do it, but it was it took a lot of tech to do it. And I was more concerned with just getting a really nice backdrop to the game, good musical backdrops to Dungeon Keeper, making it sound eerie and spooky and horrific in a way. So then when I joined Lionhead, a new system was coming out called Human Machine Interfaces, HMI, who had taken over really the realm from John Miles of their sound system, which allowed you to play as many sounds as you want simultaneously, full 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz sample rates, and streaming music as well. So in my time from leaving Bullfrog to joining Lionhead, I wrote the sound system. I basically coded the whole sound system, but did it in how I wanted it to work in the game. So a full music streaming architecture, blending between tracks, cross-fading between tracks, and of course the whole sound, you know, the sound effects side of things was all part of that. And Black and White used that system and used it really well, because the music in Black and White was this sort of whole seamless music changing without you realizing it as you panned over the landscape. I don't know if you play Black and White, but essentially you have different tribes on the landscape, and as you sort of travel across the landscape, the music changes to reflect the tribe that you're currently looking at, but seamlessly. So the track feels like it's the same track, but with all these different motifs and instrumentation. That was really good fun, actually. Good fun to do.
That was it. And then Fable. Now, Fable's a series that I'll admit I'd never played.
Yeah.
Again, like this week, I've been listening to the soundtrack and the cancelled one that's on your Spotify. Is it Legends?
Yeah.
Just exceptionally good music.
Yeah.
And you got 3 BAFTA nominations, right? For 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, I did. Yeah. That was a baptism of fire. That, because Fable, we all sat around and said, well, how do we want the music for this to go? And it was sort of like a brainstorming type thing where we said, oh, we wanted to sound a bit like Danny Elfman, because we were massive fans of Danny Elfman, sort of Edward Scissorhands, all that stuff. And then somebody said, oh, do you know what? Bing, who runs Microsoft, lives next door to Danny Elfman. Why don't we ask him if he can get Danny Elfman interested? So I think someone asked Bing, and he said, I'll have a word with him, and he managed to get Danny Elfman to write the theme for us. So but it quickly became obvious that he wasn't going to do the whole game music. He was just going to write this 2-minute theme, and that was it. 3-minute maybe, I can't remember now. And I was going to have to do the rest. And of course, you know, I apart from learning orchestration at college, I'd never done any proper recording with orchestra. This was going to be the first time ever, and it came out really well. I was so pleased with it. Danny Elfman loved it as well, which was good, and it just went down really well. I just myself and orchestra fit together really well. It just works with my brain quite well. I can piece together different harmonies and different instrument sets to create exactly what I'm trying to get across. And I always thought I would struggle with that, but I just didn't. So it was the score that came out from that was I was really pleased with how that came out. And then Fable 2, obviously, when that came out, it was just a continuation of using that technique to create a new score with new themes and new instrumentation and all that sort of stuff. And same with Fable 3. So all those 3 Fables, well, actually I did Then I did Journey after that. That was full orchestration.
Oh yeah.
Like you say, Fable Legends was a massive, massive score. 4 hours of music, all recorded with the Philharmonia, and recorded at Air Studios, mixed at Abbey Road, and it was like a dream come true working on that project. And it never came to light. It never saw the light of day. Fable Legends.
Well,
Shame.
at least the music's out there
The
to
music is out there, yeah, and
anyone watching this, I'll leave a link to the Spotify and people can check it out because it is absolutely fantastic.
super.
Mm. I mean that's a far cry from FM, isn't it?
It is a far cry from FM. Like I say, my music, my sort of music odyssey has been a following in the footsteps of every single part, a sort of milestone in audio technology, sort of leading up to the point. The Holy Grail was always working with full orchestra and getting Hollywood style tracks, and Fable was like the realization of that actually happening, and couldn't really believe it, to be honest. There weren't that many tracks that had used full orchestra up to then. And we were sort of, again, we were just trailblazing, we're just saying sod it, we're just going to do it and go for it. It worked really well.
So if you look back over everything you've done, be it in games or otherwise, have you got kind of a favorite soundtrack that you've done, do you think?
Magic Carpet was one of my all-time favorites, and Dungeon Keeper. Those two, I think, I just really enjoyed composing them. Magic Carpet, I was sort of a bit lucky, really, because I mean, it just had to be Arabian sounding. But I was doing stuff with the music that, again, not a lot of people were doing. I worked out how to bring in danger elements into the music. It's funny, I was playing Mario, and I noticed that every time Mario jumped onto Yoshi's back, that these bongos would join in with the music that was currently playing. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I don't know.
As soon as he jumped on, you'd hear this going along with the music that was already playing. So I was thinking, how are they doing that? That's just incredible. And then I realized, because it's MIDI, that the bongos were playing all the time just at 0 volume. And as soon as he jumped on Yoshi's back, they just turned the volume up. Of the bongos. It's a bit obvious, really.
Yeah.
So with Magic Carpet, I had the sort of the ambient sort of flowing Arabian music, but underneath all that, playing at 0 volume with these big string sounds, sort of. And when we got into Danger, we used to call it danger music. I'd bring the volume of those MIDI tracks up, and underneath the already ambient sort of soundtrack. And this was the first time, I think, that I tried it, and it was the first time I think I've ever seen it done in a game at that time. This was when would this have been? About
1994, I think.
Oh, was it 94? Right, okay, yeah, around that time, 94, 95. And I just loved it. I loved the just the whole process of it, of seeing what I'd done in a game, changing in real time, but not sort of switching between tracks. It was a blend between different MIDI pieces of music within the same track. And so that was great. Dungeon Keeper was one of those games where I just went off on one. I just thought, I'm going to make this as mad and as crazy as I can. And there's some really, really interesting use of industrial machines in there from sample CDs, like printing presses and stamping machines, in factories and things that I just blended into the music to create like a rhythmic backdrop to.
Yeah, isn't there a track called like Manufacturing or something like that, where it's like really?
Yeah,
what is
can't
it?
remember now. I know there's Deeper Dungeons. There's yeah, I can't remember. I think the last 2 tracks were the ones that I did, tracks 4 and 5, I think, are the ones that had all the heavy industrial machines on.
Oh, it's called It's Construction Time.
That's it, construction time.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I had good
Fantastic.
fun on Dungeon Keeper. Really, really enjoyed it. Um, and yeah, it's one of the sort of one of the soundtracks that I'm most proud of, really.
Mm. I mean, taking you could say this about almost every game that Peter's been involved with or that Bullfrog did, but the the innovation in terms you was talking about in terms of the music is also evident with the games like Magic Carpet, which I loved at the time. It was crazy because it was like you could look 360 in this 3D environment, which really
Yeah.
didn't exist.
Yeah.
Um, and do you think that kind of pushing the envelope has been an element of why you've stayed with Peter all throughout your career, or kind of
A lot of it has been also the sort of the level of people that he's attracted into the company because of his standing in the industry and what he's people just wanted to work with him. They were just desperate to be part of his team, and he could pick and choose like the best of the best from that. And so I have been so lucky with the people that I've worked with over the past 30 years. Um, and so they have been responsible for all these amazing things that you can see. And it inspires me as well to make the music better and the sounds better. I want to match what they've done in the audioscape as well as they've done with the visuals and the technology, the gameplay. And so yeah, I think a lot of it is just down to the people that I've worked with, and have brought Peter's ideas to life. So
mm,
like I say, and now I'm back at 22 cans, and it's like going back to Bullfrog like
yeah.
30 years ago. It's great.
So what have you guys got cooking at the moment that, or I mean, you probably can't say, can you? Or
Yeah, no, we've
maybe you can.
announced a new game, which which is basically it's Masters of Albion. It's basically all a mixture of all the games that we did at Bullfrog and Lionhead mixed into one game. So there's elements of Black and White, there's elements of Fable, there's elements of a Dungeon Keeper in there going to be, and it's almost like going back in time and saying this is given what we've done in the past, this is what we're doing now, and it's almost like a spiritual successor to those games,
Hmm.
and very exciting.
And what format or formats is that going to be on?
At the moment, it's just the PC.
Yeah, okay.
I think it will probably show itself on next gen as
Mm,
well. Eventually, we have to, I think. But at the moment, we're developing on PC. Peter was very keen to get away from the mobile arena,
mm,
because it doesn't really lend itself to creating, amazing visuals and graphics and technology. It
mm,
just is like pick up and play sort of games, and he wanted to create something. He wanted to go back to his roots,
yeah.
essentially. And we've got Mark Healy is there now. He's the art director on it. Mark was Media Molecule,
Yeah.
did Little Big Planet,
Mm,
was the head of the company there. He's now our art director. So it's really like getting the old team back together, which is
mm,
quite nice from a historical point of view, and
yeah.
a small dose of nostalgia thrown in as well.
So will your soundtrack be orchestral on that one?
Yes,
Nice.
yeah. At the moment, it's all just mock-ups, just to prove out um, the music style and how music fits into certain bits of the game. But eventually, yeah, we'll be going to orchestra with that at some
Mm,
stage.
I'll look forward to
Way
that.
off yet, but it's going to happen, I'm sure.
Mm. Sounds good. Sounds exciting.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think that's all the questions I had. I really appreciate your time so much. Is there anything else?
pleasure.
I'm going to link your Spotify and your YouTube where people can listen to your music. Any other links or plugs you want to point people to?
That's absolutely fine. I think that'll do.
Yeah.
I have got russellshawmusic.com, which is my website. You could put that on there if you wanted. Although I don't try and attract people can come and look at it if they wanted some interesting articles on there about some things that I've done. But apart from that, I think the best thing, yeah, is just the YouTube side of things, and maybe I'm trying my hardest to get the other soundtracks back on Spotify because they were taken off. So I'm in contact with Microsoft at the moment to get those put back on, and they're quite keen because the new Fable is well underway now, and they want to bring up the whole universe of Fable into one sort of arena on Spotify. So that means getting all the soundtracks back on there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Well, yeah, thanks. And thanks for especially for Syndicate music. It's just music that I've just enjoyed for so long, and it's like you said earlier, means a lot to a lot of people, and it means a lot to me. So
Yes, good.
yeah,
Thanks,
thank you so
Pete.
much, and thanks for your time today.
Pleasure. Please send me a link to whatever it is you get from this, and
Yes.
I would look forward to hearing it or seeing it or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it normally takes me a while to organize and chop it all up and edit, but I will. Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as it's up, I'll send you a link for sure.
Please do. Lovely.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, Pete. All
All
the
right.
best.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.